I'm Brittany James, and I help consumers understand, protect, and enforce their financial and credit rights. If there's any error on yours, we will fix it. For more info, click the link in our bio or comment section below to speak to one of our licensed attorneys for help. What if I told you that filing bankruptcy doesn't mean you lose everything, and that you might pay way less to your creditors than you think? Here's the truth most people don't know. Chapter 13 bankruptcy has a specific formula, and once you understand it, you can actually estimate your payment before you ever walk into an attorney's office. Stick with me through this video because by the end, you are going to understand exactly how your monthly Chapter 13 plan payment gets calculated, what assets are protected, and what happens to whatever debt is still left over after 5 years. This is the stuff lawyers charge hundreds of dollars just to explain, and you're getting it free right now. Section 1. Chapter 7 versus Chapter 13. Know the difference. Let's start with the basics. When most people think bankruptcy, they think Chapter 7. And honestly, Chapter 7 is simpler. It typically takes about 4 to 5 months, and in most cases, your eligible debts are completely wiped out. No payment plans, no creditor negotiations, just a fresh start. But here's the catch. Not everyone qualifies for Chapter 7. There's something called the means test, and it looks at your household size and your income. If your income is above the threshold for your state, Chapter 7 is off the table. You'll need to look at Chapter 13 instead. Chapter 13 is also a powerful tool if you're behind on your mortgage and trying to stop a foreclosure. It lets you catch up on those missed payments through a structured repayment plan while keeping your home. Section 2. What is a Chapter 13 plan? Chapter 13 is a reorganization bankruptcy. Instead of discharging everything immediately, you enter into a repayment plan, typically 60 months or 5 years, where you pay back a portion of what you owe. Now here's the part that trips people up. The plan payment is not random. It's not based on what your creditors want. It's based on a legal formula that weighs 2 very specific factors. And here's the kicker. Once you go through all 5 years of that plan, whatever balance is still remaining on your credit cards, medical bills, and personal loans, gone, discharged, done. You're not on the hook for it anymore. So the real question is, what determines how much you pay each month? Let's break it down. Section 3. Factor number 1, your disposable income. The first factor is disposable income, and this is exactly what it sounds like. We take your average monthly income over the 6 months before you file and subtract your allowable monthly expenses. Whatever's left over is typically what goes toward your creditors each month. Now, here's something important. When you calculate your expenses, you do not include your credit card payments, medical bills, or personal loans. Those are the debts that are going into the bankruptcy. You're not paying those in your budget. They're being handled through the plan. In many states, your car payment is also built into the plan itself, so that's separate too. What you do include housing, utilities, food, insurance, childcare, transportation costs, and other necessary living expenses. Here's where it gets interesting. There are IRS national standards that set limits on what counts as a reasonable expense. But before you panic thinking this means living on rice and water for 5 years, let me set the record straight. These limits are actually quite reasonable. For example, in Arizona, the clothing allowance is approximately $80 per person per household per month. For a family of 4, that's $320 a month just for clothing. Whether you spend that or not, it counts as a deduction from your income. There are similar allowances for food, personal care, transportation, and more. Many people are surprised to find that the IRS guidelines allow more than they actually spend. So once you run through all of that math, income minus allowable expenses, the number left over is generally what your monthly Chapter 13 plan payment looks like. Quick example. If you bring home $4,500 a month and your allowable expenses total $4,075, you have $425 of disposable income. In many cases, that $425 becomes your monthly plan payment. Quick pause. If this is making sense and you want to go deeper on bankruptcy strategies that actually protect your finances, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. Every week, I put out real, actionable content on handling debt, understanding your legal rights, and rebuilding after financial hardship. Don't miss it. Now, back to the formula, because we're only halfway through. Section 4. Factor number 2, the value of your non-exempt assets. Here's where Chapter 13 gets a little more technical, but stay with me. This part is crucial. The second factor is the value of your non-exempt assets. Every state has what are called exemptions. These are protections that shield certain assets from your creditors. A portion of your home equity, your car up to a certain value, retirement accounts, household goods, these are often protected. But any asset value that exceeds those exemptions, that's considered non-exempt, and it factors into your Chapter 13 plan. Here's how it works. Let's say you own a car outright and it's worth $10,000. In Arizona, there's a vehicle exemption of approximately $6,000, so your non-exempt equity in that vehicle is $4,000. Now, the law requires that in a Chapter 13 plan, your creditors must receive at least as much as they would have gotten if you had filed Chapter 7 instead, and a trustee had liquidated your non-exempt assets and distributed the proceeds. This is called the best interest of creditors test, and it's a real legal requirement under the U.S. Bankruptcy Code, 11 U.S.C. Section 1325A(4). So if your non-exempt assets total $15,000, your Chapter 13 plan must pay at least $15,000 to your unsecured creditors over the life of the plan, even if your disposable income calculation came out lower. In other words, your monthly payment is whichever is higher, the disposable income number or the amount needed to pay off your non-exempt assets over 60 months. Section 5. Putting it all together. So let's run through the full picture. Step 1. Calculate average monthly income over the last 6 months before filing. Step 2. Subtract your allowable monthly expenses using IRS guidelines where applicable. The result is your disposable income. Step 3. Add up the value of all your assets. Subtract any loans or liens against them. That's your equity. Step 4. Apply your state's exemptions to that equity. Whatever's left is your non-exempt asset value. Step 5. Divide that non-exempt asset total by 60, the number of months in your plan. That gives you the minimum monthly payment required to satisfy the best interest test. Step 6. Your actual plan payment is whichever is higher, the disposable income figure or the non-exempt asset figure. And here's the finish line that makes all of this worth it. After 60 months of making those payments, any remaining balance on your unsecured debts, credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, is completely discharged, eliminated. It cannot be collected. You did your best. The system recognizes that, and you get your fresh start. Section 6. Who qualifies for Chapter 13? One thing to note, to file Chapter 13, you must have regular income. It doesn't have to be a traditional job. Social Security, rental income, self-employment income, all of these can qualify. But there must be a consistent, reliable source. If you have zero income, Chapter 13 is not available to you until that changes. There are also debt limits. As of 2024, Chapter 13 is available to individuals with less than approximately $2.75 million in combined secured and unsecured debt, a threshold that was adjusted under the Bankruptcy Threshold Adjustment and Technical Corrections Act of 2022. Chapter 13 isn't a punishment. It's a powerful legal tool that gives you a structured, protected path out of serious debt, while keeping your assets, your home, and your dignity intact. Now you know the formula. You know the 2 factors. And you know what's waiting for you at the end of those 60 months. If you found this helpful, please like this video and share it with someone who's struggling with debt right now. You might just change their life. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. I cover everything from negotiating with creditors, understanding your rights under the FDCPA, rebuilding your credit, and much more. Drop your questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and your question might become the next video. You've got this. See you in the next one. I'm Brittany James, and I help consumers understand, protect, and enforce their financial and credit rights. If there's any error on yours, we will fix it. For more info, click the link in our bio or comment section below to speak to one of our licensed attorneys for help.